Understanding who you are and then being who you are better centers you. It better aligns you with yourself to become who you are ultimately supposed to be. Welcome to Beneath the Seams, where we peel back the layers of clothing and makeup that protects us and get personal. It's about me, it's about you, and what's trending too. If you have never seen this face before, totally understandable. The internet is a huge place. I'm 𝐲𝐿𝐴 and I am so glad the algorithm gods saw fit for you to see this face today. Gone for a minute, now I'm back with the jump off.
I'm gone for a minute, now I'm back with the jump off.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Seriously, if you can't catch a 𝐿𝐴𝐿 reference, then we can't be friends. It has been a little bit of a minute since we've gone beneath the scenes, but you know, life happens. Mind your business, that's all. Just mind your business.
Mind your business, that's all. Just mind your business.
But seriously, I had a couple of life events, a wedding, a homecoming, some traveling to do, but that's neither here nor there because at last, we are back together again. Today, I want to share with you a lesson in being yourself. We live in a world where people want you to be everything else but you. And that's mostly to help them ease their insecurities and feel more comfortable with themselves. Let's go beneath the scenes. For as long as I can remember, I've always had this loud, vibrant presence and personality. I mean, even as a child. And as an adult, I've noticed that I am loud before I even open my mouth when entering a room. And no, I'm not talking about the fact that I have on pink or purple lipstick given the day and I have red hair. Those things, of course, add to the loudness, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm speaking more of a loud energy. My presence is strong before I utter one word. One of the compliments that I hear the most often is, 𝐲𝐿𝐴, I love your energy. And while I embrace it now as one of my greatest assets, it has not always been that way. Linda, listen. I remember as a kid, we would get sent home with daily progress reports. There was math, science, reading, writing, you know, all of that stuff. And then there was behavior. And while my behavior was good for the most part, I noticed as an adult later on through therapy that the comments in the notes section were a little bit too negative to be giving to a 5-year-old. Now, this is how I know I am who I am through and through. Very little of me is learned behavior. The comment sections would say things like, 𝐲𝐿𝐴 is bossy, she's talkative, and she likes to be in control. In all fairness, where is the lie? I'm guilty of all of that. But I think there is a more constructive way to give that type of feedback about a 5-year-old. Because at that age, you're so impressionable. And when people tell you this is right and this is wrong, you kind of listen to it without question. So if someone is telling you you're too talkative, the average 5-year-old is going to internalize that as, I shouldn't talk as much, which in some cases is not very good advice and not a very good behavioral analysis for someone who's blossoming, developing, learning about life and learning about themselves. It kind of really puts a dim on them exploring and discovering themselves. I think a more constructive way to give that type of feedback about a 5-year-old would be to say, 𝐲𝐿𝐴 is a leader and she likes to take charge, but we should work with her more so that she understands where and when to exercise those leadership skills. Or, 𝐲𝐿𝐴 is very talkative. Perhaps we should enroll her in stage play classes or public speaking classes so that she can really exercise that muscle and express herself in that way. See the difference? Gave the exact same feedback, said the exact same thing, but in a way more constructive way. I realized that from those very early moments as a kid, you are programmed to think that certain aspects of your personality are not acceptable and that you should change them. Translation, you shouldn't be yourself. The criticism that I received as a 5-year-old kid Now looking back on it as an adult, it made me feel like having a personality was problematic. By no means am I talking about all kids. Obviously, some kids are disruptive and have a little bit more of behavioral issues. And of course, those things should be nipped in the bud and handled. So that's not at all what I'm talking about. And I'm not a parent, so I can't even comment on how to do that in modern day culture. But I was a child, so I'm speaking from that perspective. But ultimately, I think we have to change the descriptors and the labels that we put on kids at an early age. You ever noticed how when we're having real vulnerable, down-to-earth, multi-layered conversations with our peers that we reference our childhoods a lot? Like we're always talking about how we were raised, who was around, and where we were raised. That's because how we are raised as kids lays the foundation for the type of adults we become. Now, fast forward past childhood, of course, I was a confident kid, so that followed me into much of my adulthood. I was always a super confident person, and I think a lot of times that confidence rubbed people the wrong way. I was always kind of really sure of myself, and in some ways, I don't even know how I was. I just was. But a lot of times, particularly in the workplace, my sense of self-confidence and reassuredness kind of rubbed people the wrong way, and they weren't really receptive to it. Sometimes my level of self-assurance surpassed that of people around me who were sometimes older and sometimes much older than me. And the energy was just weird. It was almost as if, how dare she be this evolved in her sense of self, and she's in her early 20s. And, I'm in my late 40s and still ain't got it together. Now, no shade, because life is a forever evolving process, right? You evolve until you die. But yeah, the messages was always just like, how could she be so assured of herself when she lacks life experience, which to my understanding, that's what makes you more know who you are. I don't know. That whole thing kind of confuses me, but let the old folks tell it. Life experience is how you get to know who you are. So yeah, the energy would be like, how is she so assured of herself and so confident when she doesn't even have the life experience that usually provides that? And to be honest with you, I don't know either. When I find out the answer, I'll let you know. But I am who I be. My energy is strong. When I ain't feeling you, you're gonna know it. When I love you, you're gonna know it. When I really don't have an opinion of you, you're gonna know it. I have very strong energy. And in knowing that about myself, I am sometimes guarded in how I maneuver through the world because I don't want things to come off the wrong way. So I think you should be self-aware as a person, but I also think you have to make sure that that self-awareness doesn't intertwine with you dumbing yourself down, which is what I ultimately found myself doing. I would be so aware of my energy that I would kind of hold back a little bit for the sake of not offending people, when really that was just their insecurities being projected on me. Now, I'd be less than honest if I've said this has never affected me. As I just admitted, because of these types of interactions, I began to scale it back a bit. I began to dumb myself down a little bit in terms of being so, watch out now, I was kind of more guarded in how I entered rooms and how I entered certain spaces. I know, shame on me, but that's my truth. But here's what all of this has taught me. Understanding who you are and then being who you are better centers you. It better aligns you with yourself to become who you are ultimately supposed to be. Now, there have been a few experiences in my life that have confirmed this for me, and I'm going to share one, maybe two. I remember when I was pledging, I was so confused and conflicted and every other you could be during that process. Like, I was just so unsure of self and everything else. So initially, I didn't bring much of Kayla to pledging. I was reserved. I was unsure of myself, and I didn't want my loud, confident, vibrant self to kind of rub people the wrong way. I didn't want people to be like, whoa, you know? So I kind of showed up and was just like, hi. So there was this event during Delta Week, and it was kind of like open mic night. You go up and you could do like a talent or whatever. And one of my big sisters who knew me before I was pledging, she was like, you need to get up there and show them who you are. You playing with these people, you not showing them yourself. I don't even know who you are right now. But you need to get up there, you need to do your spoken word piece, and you need to show these people who you really are. Like, stop playing. So I was like, okay. So as if you can't tell by now, I love to talk. Speaking is what I love to do. It is what makes my soul glow. So whether I'm talking on stage, whether I'm chit-chatting with friends over a cocktail, or I'm on camera delivering a message, I love to talk. It's what I'm passionate about. It's what I enjoy doing. So I went on stage, I performed my spoken word piece, and needless to say, I left the crowd shook. I mean, no need to toot my own horn, but beep, 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 beep. So at the time, there was one big sister who just was so unimpressed with me. Like, she just was not feeling your girl. You know, she was hating on your girl or whatever. No, she wasn't hating. She was unimpressed, and rightfully so, because I was unimpressed with me too at the time. And so after I performed, she walked up to me and she was like, I don't know who you've been, but whoever that was on stage, that's who you need to be all the time, because I've never met that girl. And let's just say from that point on, our relationship smoothed over a bit. And it's because I showed her me. This was a valuable lesson in how important it is to be yourself. Unapologetically, authentically you. That experience taught me to always show up and express myself, no matter the outcome, no matter the perception. That's on them, it's not on you. So with having a strong personality, I've also always had a different perspective, my own way of thinking. And so I always added a different opinion to many conversations that I was in. I'm not the type of person who agrees with the masses just for the sake of not having to stand alone. I will stand alone all by myself and stand strong in my opinion if that's what I believe. I'm not going to back down because I'm the only person in the room who disagrees. And I'm not going to back down for the sake of not standing alone. Like, that's whack. I'm just not doing that. If I don't agree with you, I don't agree with you. I was born alone. I'm an only child. So this alone stuff, I pretty much got it down pat, okay? So alone don't scare me. So anytime you don't agree with the masses, more often than not, then of course another label is placed on you. It's like, oh, she has a strong personality, you know, she's not agreeable. And it's like people expect you to be agreeable and go with the flow and go whichever way the wind blows. And since kindergarten, that ain't me. I don't know her. I don't understand what that means. I don't speak that language. That ain't my ministry. But yeah, when people place these labels on you of not being agreeable, sometimes it's even being aggressive, or, you know, again, having a strong personality. A lot of times I found that again is them projecting and placing something on you that they haven't yet confronted within themselves. But that ain't my business. Moral of the story is, unlocking your personality and being who you truly are expands your consciousness, it elevates your thinking, and frankly, it helps with your self-confidence. You won't have to question if you nailed it on a job interview or if you made a good impression on a first date, because you know that you led with being yourself and that you are authentically, unapologetically who you are. And that type of peace of mind compares to nothing else. Listen, I'm not saying that I have all of the answers. I'm not saying that I have it all figured out. By no means am I perfect. Well, maybe just a little bit. I mean, kind of perfect, you know. All jokes aside, I think Beneath the Seams is actually a reflection of my imperfections. And that is why I want to continue to have these conversations with you all, continue to reveal our imperfections so that we can expand our consciousness, work on ourselves, and become better people. So I do want to encourage you as we continue on this journey together. In everything that you do, bring you. Show up for yourself and show up with yourself. Boom. All right, like always, I like to end things on a positive note. Sometimes it can get a little deep up in here, so I like to redirect the energy and switch it on back to positivity. And this week's inspiration is a quote that I'm sure you've seen a million times before in multiple different fonts and fancy writing and colors all over social media, in stores like TJ Maxx and Target. They have them printed out on canvases sometimes as room decoration. You have seen this, but in seeing it, it's important to continue to see it so that we can believe it. And it's one of my favorite quotes, and it simply says, "No one is you, and that is your superpower." All right, y'all, that concludes this edition of Beneath the Seams. Listen, before you get out of here, I need you to do me a favor, and I need you to double tap that ass. And by ass, I mean mine in this video. Give it some likes, some love, some hearts, some kisses. Share it. Share it with a friend. Share it with your mama, your siblings. Share it with a person who needs a lesson in being themselves. Listen, I want to hear you guys' feedback in the comments. Have you ever experienced moments in life where you felt like you couldn't be yourself? How did you overcome it? How did you deal with it? Maybe you are currently in this state and you just want to keep the conversation going. Let's chat about it down in the comments. I want to keep this conversation going. I want to know what you guys think, all right? So show us some love, double tap that ass, all of that. So yeah, that about covers all of the housekeeping, and the basics. I appreciate you guys so much for watching. You could be anywhere on the internet or the .coms, and you chose to be right here with me. I appreciate you for that. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today on this episode, and thank you for your continuous support with the series. I'm here for you. You are here for me. We are here for each other. We see each other. All right. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.